Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is input the creation date. So what date was this form created, this particular form, not the form designer, but the particular form. So anytime someone creates a customer survey or links a customer survey to a company, I want that date stamp on there. So I'll simply select this item. Now selecting any of your fields, there's a way to do it. You can either double click it and it will add it to your form, or you can highlight it, release your mouse, and then drag it. And then you'll see these blue inference lines helps you line them up and also space them apart. You'll see that it kind of snaps and then you can release it. And you've already got an automatic spacing here. Now don't worry about the actual name of that field being cut off. We'll take care of that in just a little bit. So creation date is something that's populated and it cannot be modified, which is nice. It's a good security, a good truth teller. Now I'd like to pull in the company and the main contact name from which this item was linked to. So this was linked to Bling Depot and a contact under that. So I want to pull those two entities into this form. So I'm going to create a new field, and maybe I'll call it linked company. And this is really important to choose the field type, because once you hit OK, the field type can't be modified. Now this is a linked company. That means we're pulling information from an existing entry. So this would be a lookup field. I'm going to select lookup as my field type. Again, this cannot be changed once I hit the OK button. And then I want to link it to the company. Okay, now you see linked company appear in my list of fields, and it's got a little magnifying glass. Anytime you see a magnifying glass in Centerbase, that means it's a lookup entity. So again, I'm going to select the item and then drag it, wait for your blue inference lines and allow it to snap, and then release. So now I have my linked company, and again, there's a little magnifying lookup button, and we'll show you how that works in a later video. Okay, now I want to link the main contact from that company. So I'm going to also do another new field and say linked main contact, or maybe that's too wordy. I'll say linked contact. And here this is again a lookup field. Okay, link lookup values, and I want it linked to the contact. Now I'd like to store some data regarding where the feedback came from. So even though the item is called customer survey, I really want to store any kind of feedback I receive from my customer, such as information from an email, a phone call, verbal feedback, including the actual formal survey that I issue. So I'm going to create a drop-down box called type of feedback. So let's create a new field and call it type of feedback. Now the previous two fields we did as a lookup field, but in this one we're going to do a text field and configure drop-down values. Okay, so I'm going to enter email response, and then just enter through these. You can do web form, formal survey, verbal feedback, and phone call. Okay, these are the values, and then I can also go in and add more values later, but these are the values I'd like to start with. Say OK and OK. Now I have this text field called type of feedback. I'm going to drop that into my form. Next, I'd like to add a field for comments. So the person actually inputting this data on the form, I'd like to give them an opportunity to make additional comments, maybe more specifics about that feedback. So we're going to create a new field for open comments. So instead of a text field, this is actually more verbose than just a text field. You want to give them the option for several lines. So we'll choose the memo field and hit OK. I'm going to choose comments and drag that up to my form. Okay, but I want to make the actual input field a little larger. You wait for that blue inference line. Okay, and that's good. Now, the sizing didn't work out because the background is not sized for that. So you can actually open up the background, which is the darker gray, and just bring it out a little bit. And we're going to add some more, so you can just drag it out some more. Okay, and then I want to find out if the feedback was acknowledged from my company to the person providing the feedback. Did we send a thank you? Did we say thank you? So I want to add a yes or no field, maybe a checkbox field for that. So I'll call it acknowledgement. And not a text field. This is actually going to be what we call true false. Say OK. And just drop that in right there. Okay. And if it was acknowledged, I also want a date stamp on that. So I'm just going to put a new field, date, acknowledged, and choose date, and date with time. In this case, I want date with time. You can have date, but sometimes having the date with time is also helpful. Okay. And then drop that in there. Now we've populated our form with quite a few fields, and we've also explored several different types of fields, such as a text field, memo, lookup, true, false, and date. There's also email and a couple other fields that we didn't explore in this lesson. But for the most part, you can probably get the feel of how this works and how you can set it up. But by now, some of the spacing might be bothering you, as it's certainly bothering me. So let's take care of that now. Let's just take a rubber band selection around the fields, and we just need to move these over a little bit. So I'm going to just take this and move it over. And don't worry, I won't forget about the little checkbox guy. We'll move that over. And then we'll do the same thing with these. We'll take an item, and you just have to drag one of them, and then release it. Okay, so now I can read all of these descriptions for each field, but I might want to also clean it up a little bit. So I'm going to control select some of these individual items and drag it out. Wait for the blue inference line before you release. Okay, so I've populated my form with the fields that I feel are pertinent to what I want to see, what I want users to input on this form. So I'm pretty happy with the fields and the content of the form, but I'm not that happy with the look of it. So stay tuned for my next video, and I'm going to show you how to make your form look pretty and do a little color coding and rearranging. We'll talk about tab order as well. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I'm Ami Megani, and I'm with Center Based Technical Support.